Very much, Mr. Chairman. I thank you for your leadership on this bill, and Elliot Engel and Barbara Lee. We were there when George W. Bush signed this legislation. We were sitting next to each other. This has made an enormous difference in the lives of so many people. And I call on our colleagues to support the PEPFAR Extension Act of 2018, which authorizes funding for each of the next 5 years for comprehensive programs designed to prevent or provide treatment for people suffering from HIV/AIDS, malaria, and/or TB throughout the world. Because of the vision of George W. Bush, and here in the House, it was Henry Hyde and Tom Lantos as chairman and ranking members. Since 2003, PEPFAR has saved an estimated 16 million lives. And today, 13 countries are on track to control their HIV/AIDS epidemic by 2020. When the President signed it, he said, and I quote in part, "HIV/AIDS is one of the greatest medical challenges of our time. Across Africa, this disease is filling graveyards and creating orphans and leaving millions in a desperate fight for their lives." He went on to say, in the face of preventable death and suffering, we have a moral duty to act, and we are acting. Today, according to the U.S. Department of State, PEPFAR is the largest commitment by any nation to address a single disease in all of history. Before PEPFAR, only 50,000 people in Africa had access to life-saving antiretroviral treatment. That number has since increased to approximately 14 million people receiving treatment for HIV and AIDS. Thanks to antiretrovirals, some 2.2 million babies have been born HIV-free to HIV-positive moms. Since the start of PEPFAR, new HIV infections have declined by 41 to 76%, depending on the country. And again, more than 16 million people have been saved. Yet the need for this legislation continues to be absolutely compelling because so much more needs to be done. The Trump administration's 2018 PEPFAR report to Congress sounds the alarm, noting that according to UN AIDS, nearly 37 million people are living with HIV globally. However, only 20.9 million are getting treatment. They point out that we must continue to act decisively and strategically with our resources and bring other donors and high HIV-burdened countries to the table. Otherwise, we all risk an epidemic that rebounds beyond the global community's capacity to respond. The time to act is now. Every week, 32,000 people are infected with HIV globally. And of all the new HIV infections in adolescents in the region, nearly 75% are among females, and they are up to 14 times more likely to contract HIV/AIDS than young men. I urge my colleagues to support this life-saving legislation. And again, I thank my colleagues. I thank the Speaker and Kevin McCarthy for bringing this legislation to the floor. Yield back.